Now, linebacker is certainly another position of need, both inside and outside. Cardinals with 9 linebackers under contract. Of course, the two most important are Jordan Hicks and Chandler Jones. They each need help, however. Right now, though, let's just focus on an edge rusher, getting someone opposite Chandler Jones to take a little bit of the pressure off the league's best sack artist since he arrived with the Arizona Cardinals in 2016, because right now, all the Cardinals really have as an outside edge rusher is Hassan Redick, and here's someone who is making another position switch. He played late there in the month of December, but really didn't have a lot of time, and he's certainly not someone that I am comfortable right now saying, yes, he's your starting edge rusher outside or opposite Jones. This is certainly a position that the Cardinals need to address. The question is, once again, how much money do you spend at a premium position on defense?
Well, I think it's going to be telling if one of their first 2 signings is an outside linebacker, and we talked about possibly $8 to $10 million per year. You like to get guys at 25 or 26, 27, 28. But I think, hey, listen, Reddick's going to have to make the team. I mean, it's clearly they're not going to pick up his 5th-year option. But I think he can help this team for depth-wise. But he's going to have to relearn the position. I mean, you just can't rush the quarterback. There's other assignments he's going to have to drop back into coverage. But, I don't – right now I wouldn't pencil him as a starter. And a lot of those guys we looked at, Joe Walker got a chance to play special teams. Ezekiel Turner, special teams. Dennis Gardeck, special teams. So a lot of those guys are on teams, but you have to create some depth there. And we know that linebackers, usually cornerbacks and receivers – play the majority on special teams.
Now, Cassius Marsh was one of those additions earlier in the season that I think might be considered to return. But once again, you're talking about depth, not someone that's going to be on the field week 1 and starting 80-85% of the defensive snaps. This team was pretty good at getting to the quarterback. 40 sacks, which ranks 17th in the league last season. Of course, Jones accounted for almost half of that with 19. So you don't need someone opposite Jones that's going to get double digits in sacks. I think that would be the goal and a nice surprise, if you will. You just need someone over there that is going to be somewhat consistent. I think Terrell Suggs, the first month of September, he was fine. He was great. 3.5 sacks. He finished with 5.5. You can't have that big of a drop-off. So if you have someone over there, again, depending on what you like, but if he's just someone that the opposite of the offense has to identify and worry about, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, it'd be great to have Chandler Jones with 19 sacks and someone else with 12. That would be best case scenario. I don't know how realistic that is.
Yeah, but if you're paying someone $8 to $10 million a year, you're hoping to get 8 to 10 sacks.
Yes,
I mean,
you are, yes.
It doesn't make sense to me where you play 65 snaps and you get $1 million a sack throughout the season. I mean, we watched Chandler Jones get double and triple teamed. They were chipping. They were running to the other side. I think it's important that whoever you sign is also committed to the run, dropping back into coverage, and putting pressure on the quarterback. You know how I feel about hurries, pressures, and knockdowns. They lead to turnovers. But I think if you're going to pay somebody that kind of money, you're expecting double digits in sacks, whether it's 10.5 or 11.5. And that's what was intriguing to me when Marcus Golden was here. He had 12.5, and Chandler had 10.5. And you got a chance to see these guys get to the quarterback.
All right, but if you're not getting those double-digit sacks and you're getting maybe 6 to 8 sacks, but you're always in the backfield,
Fine.
You're knocking the ball loose.
Fine.
If there's other numbers that can help justify that $8 to $10 million price tag.
No, and that's a good point, because what do we talk about Chandler? Besides sacks,
Strip sacks.
forced fumbles, fumble recoveries. Those are turnovers. So, yeah, sign me up, 6 to 8. I'm not fixated on the number, but when you're going to go out and get a guy like that, he has to win some one-on-one matchups like Jones has done.
You want someone that is going to disrupt plays, is going to make an impact, and not just come in on third down to rush the quarterback.
Right. This has to be a 3-down linebacker.
And someone that perhaps can drop back into coverage and maybe just be a little bit better than a Chandler Jones. And I know it's something that he's working on. He would prefer not to drop back, and everyone wants to see him go forward as opposed to backwards. But when you are that edge rusher, as we've heard defensive coordinator Vance Joseph talk about a lot during the course of last season, your chances always rush the quarterback. And then because now all of a sudden you develop a tendency, and then the offensive line and the quarterback will know exactly what you're doing.
Well, I mean, I don't know this for sure, but I got to think a point of emphasis is going to be who's covering the tight end. And we're going to get into the back end of the defense, the secondary. I mean, is there a guy? Because you can't bring him on the field just on third down. We know that teams are going 3 wide, 1 tight, and 1 back. And some of these teams, their tight ends probably either the first or second in receptions for that team. So a lot of guys are built like wide receivers, but they're playing tight end. So that's something that we're going to have to focus on, and we won't know until the season who's going to be that guy.
Well, of course, you bring up the tight end and 16 touchdowns by opposing tight ends this past season. Let's talk about inside linebacker. You've got a great one in Jordan Hicks, but he can't do it by himself. It's like Chandler Jones. He needs help. The question is who's going to be lining up next to him, and right now, I don't know if the Cardinals have someone currently on the roster that you can say is going to be your inside linebacker. It was a revolving door when Hassan Redick showed that he was unable to be that inside linebacker guy. Joe Walker, I thought, did a yeoman's job late in the season, but as you pointed out, he's more of a special teams guy. Dennis Gardeck, special teams guy. Ezekiel Turner, a special teams guy. You need someone in there, and I know you're not big on spending a lot of money or draft capital at that position, but you have to have someone there, and right now that is a huge question mark for me.
Yeah, and when I say this, I mean, they only have 6 draft picks, depending on if they stay currently where they are. They could move back in a certain round where they get more. But I do think the inside linebacker position is deep in the NFL draft. Okay, everyone's going to talk about Simmons, and rightfully so. He's a guy that can play a lot of different positions. We'll see what his natural position is. You got to go to a team that's going to put him in the right spot to make plays. But you get Kenneth Murray and Patrick Queen. There's some really good linebackers in the inside, and whether it's a second or third round pick, I think clearly the Cardinals ID D-line and outside linebacker as free agents. And I think, as I pointed out earlier, some of the positions that they are deep in the draft, they could tap into it in using that. But again, anytime you're drafted in that first, second, or third round, we know that plug and play at 8, 40, probably more of a 50, 60 snap guy, maybe 45 snap guy. And then third, you hope he's dressed on Sundays and he's playing on teams and he provides depth.
Some of the names as far as inside linebackers are Corey Littleton, Blake Martinez, but this might be where the Cardinals have a wait out process where it's that second wave of free agency where you get into week 2, week 3, and you see how the market bears out before you jump back into the waters, if you will, to try to find someone to help out and line up alongside Hicks.
Yeah, Blake Martinez, he's kind of like our Jordan Hicks. He led the league in tackles, so I don't think he's the guy. Alec Ogletree's out there. He was with the Giants, got traded from the Rams. Danny Trevathan's out there. But again, we'll wait and see, because if they feel like maybe when they get to free agency, or if they have other ideas in that first couple rounds in the draft, maybe they will address that. But again, I think they need to get a young, not a thumper, a guy that can cover and basically be a 3-down linebacker from sideline to sideline to go along with Hicks.
Or at least if it's not a 3-down, someone that it's not a constant shuffling, if you will. That depending on down and distance, maybe it's you've got 2 or 3 guys that you can trust.
You got your base guy, and then you got your nickel guy.
Someone that can rush, someone that can drop.
Right.
And ideally, you'd love that to be the same person.
Right.
But as we're getting into this, it's every team's looking for these type of players, and they're not easy always to find.
Well, and if you want to get a good rotation go, we know that the every down players don't come off the field. We look at Hicks, we look at Patrick Peterson, Budda Baker, probably all 3 corners. They shouldn't come off if they're nickel and dime. But you definitely want to have some guys that can come in and help. But again, if you get a 3-down linebacker, that means he doesn't come off the field, and you're not tipping your hand who's going to cover the tight end if he's an inside guy.